Good evening. I'd like to call the City of Twinsburg Caucus meeting for May 14th to order. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mr. Post?
Here.
Mr. Bonacci?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Present.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mrs. Labby?
Here.
Mr. Bellin?
Here. Thank you. Do we have any presentations for the caucus meeting?
There are none.
Okay. Do we have any items for discussion?
Nothing.
Hearing none, we move to audience participation.
We have one this evening. Jonah Pachette?
Sorry, you guys off. I'm going to go here because I'm going to head out early. John Bichette, 11146 Heritage Drive. I just want to give you guys a really quick update on the Environmental Commission, our meeting. I'll let the councilwoman kind of finish off where I don't, what I don't add in during this update. However, we met last week for our Environmental Commission, and it was a really successful meeting. Our shred date, for the annual shredding date, is officially June 8th. I know I've kind of bounced back and forth a couple times. It's now June 8th. Public Works Department. You could bring up to 6 boxes of, goods to be shredded. Please don't pre-shred them. You could bring them there though. And these are documents that, bank statements, things that may be matters of security that you'd like to get shredded. So I encourage you to reach out to the residents and or your constituents. Encourage them to come, because last year we could have had a lot more people show up. I'd love to see the entire city there. Second thing, really the councilwoman could fill this in for us, but that plastic bag ban ordinance that was referred to the commission, we had been discussing it for the past couple months in our meetings, and we had reached a consensus as a commission that it really is a bigger matter, an issue than the city of Twinsburg. And since we're not a legislating body, our recommendation was to sort of not play hot potato with it, but refer it back to you as a council and encourage you to refer it towards the Summit County government. And so that is sort of, our recommendation as a commission, not to play hot potato, but we just believe it's a bigger matter than the city of Twinsburg. And so that is sort of our consensus, and the councilwoman has the exact motion we made at the time, but that was where we're at. Do you guys have any questions for me? Yes.
Small here. Do you know if the library still takes shredded paper? Because I know that when you go to these shred things, it has to be unshredded.
Yes.
Not shredded, yeah. But I know for a while the library was taking, they had bins up there for shredded. Are you aware of that?
I do not know off the top of my head if they do or do not.
Still are. Maybe.
I will find out and I will get back to you. I do not know off the top of my head right now at this time.
Too. I think they do.
Okay. Then that is
they
it.
Did. I don't know if they still do.
I will find out and I will get back to you. That is a great thing to know, and I could further advertise that out.
Perfect.
Any other questions for you guys? Perfect.
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Jonah. All right, next on our agenda is pending legislation. We'll start with Resolution 57, 2024. This resolution is a CRA agreement for Pepperell and Fuchs. The company plans to construct a new 25,000 square foot lead facility, and the new project is about $15.9 million in investment with 111 full-time jobs, with a proposed 123 part-time jobs by 2029. The initial anticipated payroll, and again this is coming from the township to the city, is $5.2 million. The proposed abatement is 50% for 12 years. This will be on the second reading tonight. Council will be asked to suspend the 3 reading rule and pass on an emergency at this evening so the construction can start as soon as possible. Are there any questions on 57, 2024? Okay. Next on our agenda is Resolution 60, 2024. This is a resolution to appoint a member to the JEDI Committee. Council had interviews on the 23rd and again tonight. There'll be a motion at the regular meeting to add a few names, and Council is going to be asked to suspend the 3 reading rule and pass this on an emergency so the members can be sworn in at the next meeting. Any questions on Resolution 60, 2024? Thank you. Resolution 61, 2024. This is to participate in the ODOT SALT contract for 24-25. The city is planning on ordering 4,300 tons of salt at a cost of $54.71 a ton. Mayor, I remember when that was $100 a ton. That we were getting it from Egypt for $100 a ton. Last year, the city used 3,000 of the 5,000 tons we ordered the previous year. Council is being asked to suspend the 3 reading rule and pass on emergency so they can enter an agreement as soon as possible to capture this low price. Any questions on 61, 2024? Okay. Ordinance 62, 2024. This ordinance is for change order to the bank stabilization and sanitary sewer project. This is the result of an electric pole in the parking lot that needs to be removed, replaced. The total amount of the change order is $11,342. Council is being asked to suspend the 3 reading rule and pass this on an emergency. Amy, is that why you're here tonight? Okay. Sure. Are there any questions on this? This is the work that's being done by the post office?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I talked to you guys 2 weeks ago.
Okay. As Amy said, she talked to us about this 2 weeks ago.
2 or 4 weeks ago, I brought it to your attention so that you knew that was coming
All right.
Associated with that work.
No
So
problem.
this
Are there
is
any other
list.
questions of council to Amy on this? All right. Amy, do you know the numbers of the ones you have?
Yeah, the next 2.
Okay, so you have 63 and 64?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Resolution 63, 2024. Resolution to apply for an Ohio Public Works Commission funding for separate road resurfacing and in partnership with the City of Macedonia. The project is estimated at a cost of $1.455 million and be split with Macedonia. The city would be responsible for 20.5% of the project. Council is being asked to suspend the 3 reading rule and pass this on emergency. Amy, you have any comments or?
Yeah, we've already, we did an original app for AMATs on this. We did not get funding through that avenue. Macedonia is the lead. They're going to try for getting some funding through Ohio Public Works. So they just
Okay.
need the cooperative legislation.
Okay. Moving on to Resolution 64, 2024. This is a resolution to enter an agreement for purchase of real property and temporary easements for the Ravenna Shepherd project. Council is being asked to suspend the 3 reading rule and pass on an emergency. So this is to acquire the property around the roundabout up,
It's not a roundabout. It's an
Oh.
intersection improvement with
Yeah.
turn lanes.
the intersection improvement to line up and make that work.
Yes, and you've passed previous legislation. This is for 4 more. We were able to negotiate. I'm hoping maybe 1 or 2 more, but then you've already passed the appropriation legislations for the ones that are holding out, but we're still trying to get through the process so we don't have to go to court.
All right. Are there any other questions for Amy on this?
How many outstanding are there?
There are 4 outstanding. 3 of them should have come in, but the 2 of them happen to be agencies, so it's getting hung up in law departments and bureaucracy and everything else. We need to clear so we can get utilities in there to relocate prior to the construction, so it doesn't delay once we bid the construction and all of a sudden we have delay charges because something's in the way. So to keep the project on schedule, it's scheduled to sell this fall for construction early next year and hopefully be complete in 1 construction season.
Okay. Thanks, Amy. All right. Next is Ordinance 65, 2024. This is an ordinance to change the petty cash amount from $300 to $500 for the water park. The amount better reflects the needs of the water park during the summer season. Council is being asked to suspend the rules and pass this on an emergency as the water park's going to open in a few weeks and we don't have 30 days to wait to fix that. Are any questions on the cash? Okay. Ordinance 66, 2024. This is an ordinance to enter an agreement with East Idlewood Park Playground Equipment for the East Idlewood Park Playground Equipment. The purchase of the playground equipment is from Game Time using Omni bidding in the amount of $132,827. Council is being asked to suspend the rules and place this on emergency so we can order the equipment and then get it installed as soon as possible. Are there any questions? Okay. Resolution 67, 2024. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the law firm of Weston Hurd LLP. Council is being asked to suspend the 3 reading rule and place this on emergency so we can enter the agreement in a timely manner. Any questions? Mr. Bonacci.
A couple questions about this, maybe for the law director or maybe for you. In front of me is a document that says privileged and confidential attorney-client. information, but it effectively is the agreement that we would be entering in.
Refer your question to the law director.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I'm addressing the right.
Yeah, that's correct. So that's a great question. But to just rewind a second here on this, from time to time, as you know, the city contracts with law firms for specialized services, sometimes one-off projects. In this case, we've seen an uptick lately in the need for some additional legal services, so this would be more of a general legal services contract with the city for any overflow needs that we may have. The prices in there are set through the end of 2025. But to your point, the contract itself, while that was marked on there in the proposal, the contract itself, at least my legal opinion, is that would be a public record and wouldn't be itself privileged or protected by the attorney-client privilege.
Okay. So it being a public record, would it be posted in the same places where our other contracts are posted? Say, for example, when we had the one that was just read for the parks, we had a lot of information that was included in our box app. But this is a piece of paper presented in front of us, not in that box app. I guess if the public were to inquire about this contract, the legal service agreement, not a contract, would they be able to get it with the same ease that they could get other documents from the city?
They could. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the contract, I think to kind of follow up with that answer, the contract itself will be a part of the formal record of the council attached to the legislation.
Okay. And I think the last question is when, for example, when engineering brings forth a contract, it has a finite price. And when there is a cost overrun, we have a change agreement, something that we just voted or will be voting on tonight related to like bank stabilization. This one, if I'm reading it, doesn't seem to have an end amount. It has an hourly rate.
So
that's a great.
May I take that one?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a professional service.
Okay.
So we're authorizing the mayor and the law director to enter into an agreement with a third party for legal services. So, and that would come out of the law department's budget as a professional service. We probably have 6 figures in there now, but that's how we would pay. That's how we would do that. So it's not a finite amount. It's a set price for the hours that we would use, and it would be paid for out of the money that we allocated for professional services for the law department.
Okay. So
Does that answer your question?
So we've already allocated funds for the law department. This is not an ask for additional funds.
No, this is just for the professional services
Not-
agreement.
not
The
at this-
appropriations.
Okay.
Not at this time, but in November, if we used, just like everything else, if we do amendments to the budget often, because we have a rule that says you can't exceed a budget without prior approval of council, the Bob McDermott rule. So, it is, the Bob McDermott rule, he created it.
No, I know, just that's what you say.
No. Anyway,
Okay, I appreciate your candor and
Sure.
explaining. I'm new, so I appreciate that.
I think I'm new too sometimes.
No, that is a great question, though. There's always, as I like to think of it, there's two sides to your contract. There's the financial piece, and in this case, the financial piece is set pursuant to the law department's budget in the professional services line. The other side of that is that you have the contract itself for the professional services. That's what's before you tonight. So no, that is not obligating any type of expenditure tonight that must be made in the future. That is purely, as Bill said, setting out a rate structure, and should we need to amend the appropriations at some point, that would be obviously subject to council's decision whether or not to want to do that upon the recommendation of the mayor and the finance director. But tonight we're not asking for that.
Okay.
We're merely asking for the approval to move forward with that.
Okay. And I think my last question is, does the city, the administration, or parties involved in this have any established relationship with this firm? In other words, have we used them before?
We have, yes. We've used them primarily for labor-related matters, and at this point, it's both mine and the mayor's recommendation to move forward with them to permit them to assist us in a wider range of legal services. But again, importantly, only if necessary.
Okay.
All right.
I appreciate it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Those are great questions.
Thank you, Bill.
No problem, Mr. Bonacci. Are there any miscellaneous questions or anything going tonight? All right,
Go ahead. Make a comment, not necessarily about this.
go ahead.
Mr. Pizzana, I just want to thank you. I know you are on overdrive right now, and I think it's very evident to all of us that you are going above and beyond, around the clock, and doing everything you need to do to accommodate 50 people pulling at you. Oh wait, wrong mic. Yeah, there you go. Mr. Kwiatkowski, let me know this one's not working. I just want to thank you. No, thank you for everything you're doing. I know that there are a lot of areas where you're being pulled, and that is why we need this. If you didn't have to do all of these things that are being asked of you, we wouldn't have to do this in the first place. So I want to thank you for going above and beyond as much as you can, and it's good that we have the ability to do this. So thank you.
Are there any other miscellaneous? Okay. If you'd like to speak at the council meeting, there's a sign-up sheet at the podium. We'll start the council meeting at 7:30. At this time, the caucus meeting is adjourned. Thank you.